Hello, and I'm gonna try to explain the cutscene skip you just saw. So, yeah, first I'm gonna talk. There's two kind of cutscenes, or rather two kind of different cutscenes in how you skip them, though you still use the same tools. It's the what I call hard cutscene, like the intro, you have no control of the camera, and the soft cutscene, like this, where I can still control the camera, I can just not move normally. So the cutscene skips all makes use of this spell wheel. You can use the weapon wheel, or I think you can use the hidden spell wheel too. But when you press this spell wheel, it's to start with it off. When you go into this soft cutscene, let's start like that. You lose control over your buttons. It doesn't play out the cutscene like that. You just can't control your character anymore. This has a similar effect, except it just limits you from jumping. You can no longer jump. And by opening this spell wheel inside the cutscene, I overwrite the control lock from the cutscene and can start moving again inside the cutscene. And this spell wheel actually has a delay before it opens, so when I press the button there's a 0.1 second. I have it set there. You can change it. The default is 0.15 seconds. So you need to press this just before the cutscene, so this opens inside the cutscene. Then we'll override the controller can move. So, like that. This works for soft cutscenes, as I call them, those with camera controls. But the intro cutscene instead is a hard cutscene. You can split over the ones that happen inside directly when you load into a map. Those are majority. Those that skippable are those that take place inside the cutscene map. Like the whole map is just designed for cutscene. The intro and this. Normally with the intro is actually a very weird one. For some reason you actually skip the cutscene. Or if you're gonna do it here, I hope I can get this. Won't actually skip the cutscene. Let's see, nope. Instead what it's going to do is it's gonna let me gain control inside the cutscene. This can take a few tries. These hard cutscenes are not very easy to skip, especially those with triggers when you load into a map, because you have no real control over how to skip them. What I do is I press the spell wheel like this in the load screen, and hoping to get it to trigger on the correct frame. Oh no, that's the
stuck.
Alright. So let's hope I can get it sometime. Like this, now I got it.
You made it.
Instead, skipping I gain control. For some reason the intro cutscene is different, and instead of gaining control you skip it. The other of this loading screen cutscene you can say time on skipping is the lighthouse. The one on the top of the lighthouse. By skipping that you actually, the map you take place in, actually has a normal exit. And you don't even need to get a key anymore, so you can just run to the exit to get to the next map. But yeah, otherwise hard cutscenes are the ones that are triggered when you walk into a trigger, similar to this, but you lose control of your camera. And there's the ones that are based on the timing. So after you defeat a boss, it's after a certain time the cutscene will start. Those with the timing cannot be skipped. Those with the when you walk into a trigger can be skipped. The reason this works I'm not entirely sure exactly, but it's not the same. You can't just press it in timing before it. You need to have this cutscene, but the spell will open during the frames after the cutscene has started loaded in, so the game had triggered, oh, cutscene is about to start, but before the cutscene actually starts playing. So, and generally you have something between 0 to 2 frames, and when I say 0, that means there's literally no frame you can get it on. At least it seems like it's that sometimes, and it seems to be dependent on lag and frame rate and such. So, and if you see me now, I'm using very slow load times. I don't use this if I were to make a run. I use better settings that slower load times, but it's much easier to get this with this load time, though. Downside to using these settings also, I get weird speed glitches sometimes. That's because of VSync, not something to use in runs either. But yeah. So if this was a hard cutscene, I would try to time it, and it's generally you have to see this as those skips as frame perfect. So you're in general not gonna get all of them in a run, probably, unless you practice a ton. But these soft cutscenes are relatively easy to get. You can expect to get all useful ones. Even some of the ones where you just have an NPC running up to you, it can be worth skipping because you no longer have to stop for about 1 second and such, you can just move on. Though in some cases you don't want to skip them because the cutscene exit still plays out. It's just that you gain control during it, so if there's an event triggered to that cutscene, that won't happen until the cutscene finishes, so you may lose time if you skip the wrong ones.